On the edge of Maple Hollow, where the trees leaned close like they were whispering secrets, and the wind always smelled of pine and pumpkin, stood a crooked little cottage with a violet roof and glowing windows. Most folks hurried past it with their heads down, warning their children not to stare. "That's where she lives," they'd whisper. "The witch." But 10-year-old Sam and his little sister Elsie didn't believe in spooky stories. Not really. Not the kind that made the woman in the cottage out to be some wicked, spell-casting goblin. They had seen her once or twice in the market, a tall, gentle figure in a wide-brimmed hat who smelled like cinnamon and always had a cat curled around her shoulders like a scarf. People called her Witch Bramble, but her real name was Clara. One crisp autumn morning, just as the leaves began turning gold and orange, Sam sat glumly on the porch steps, kicking a pebble. His bike was broken again, the third time this week, and tomorrow was the big school trail ride. Elsie was beside him, hugging a doll with a frayed ribbon. Her problem was quieter, but it hurt just the same. She hadn't spoken a word in 3 days. Not since her best friend moved away. "We should go see her," Sam muttered suddenly. Elsie looked up, eyebrows raised. "You know, the witch next door. Maybe she can help." Elsie hesitated, then nodded. They were already halfway down the winding path before either of them thought to be afraid. The cottage, up close, wasn't scary at all. The garden was wild but happy, full of towering sunflowers and herbs that buzzed with bees. The crooked chimney puffed lazy spirals of lavender smoke, and wind chimes tinkled sweetly above the door. Sam knocked once, then twice. The door creaked open on its own. Inside, it was like stepping into a fairy tale. Shelves lined the walls, packed with jars of glowing things, honeycombs, feathers, polished stones, tiny vials of light. A fireplace crackled merrily, and a fat orange cat blinked lazily from a velvet chair. "I was wondering when you two would show up," said a voice like warm tea. Clara the witch stood at the far end, stirring something in a pot. She didn't look scary. She wore a patchwork dress and a necklace made of buttons. Her grey hair fell in a braid down her back, and her eyes sparkled like stars trapped in glass. "We didn't mean to bother you," Sam said quickly. "It's just, my bike is broken, and I can't fix it. And Elsie, she's been really sad." Clara set down her spoon and turned, her smile gentle. "Then you came to the right place." She led them to a round table scattered with tiny tools, old clocks, and broken trinkets. "Let me see this bike of yours," she said. Sam handed her a bent piece of metal. Clara examined it, murmuring words that sounded like wind through leaves. She didn't use a wand. No smoke puffed out. Instead, she reached into a drawer and pulled out a gear that shimmered like a dragonfly's wing. "This is no ordinary fix," she said, fitting the gear in place. "This will make your bike faster than ever, but only if you promise to always help someone slower than you." Sam nodded solemnly. Then she turned to Elsie. The little girl looked unsure, clutching her doll tightly. "Lost someone, have you?" Clara asked gently. Elsie nodded. Clara sat beside her. "Sometimes the heart needs time, but sometimes," she said, reaching into a drawer carved with tiny moons, "it needs a little magic." She gave Elsie a tiny, folded paper bird. "Keep this close. It will remind you that goodbyes are not forever, and when you're ready to speak again, it will know." Elsie held the bird to her chest. Her lips quivered, but still no words came. "That's all right," Clara said softly. "Let your silence bloom into something beautiful." For the rest of the afternoon, the cottage hummed with gentle magic. Clara showed them how to make wish tea from mint leaves and how to catch dreams in spiderweb jars. Sam fixed an old clock for her, and Elsie painted a rock with tiny stars. When the sky turned dusky pink, Clara packed them each a bundle. Tea for your mum, a tiny wind bell for your room, and this, she said to Sam, handing him a shiny acorn, "for when you're afraid." "What does it do?" he asked. "It reminds you of your courage," she replied. "You'll see." They thanked her and walked home under a sky blooming with stars. The next day, Sam raced ahead in the school trail ride, but when he saw a younger boy crying with a chain off, he remembered Clara's words. He stopped, helped him, and together they crossed the finish line. Sam's heart soared with something better than victory. And Elsie? She wore the paper bird pinned to her sweater. At recess, another girl was crying beside the swings. Elsie sat with her. She didn't speak, not at first, but then, as gently as a falling leaf, she whispered, "It's okay. I know how it feels." The bird rustled and smiled. Days turned to weeks, and the children often visited Clara. She never asked for payment, only stories. In return, she taught them the quiet kind of magic kindness, listening, hope. The town still whispered about the witch next door, but now the stories began to change. They spoke of the boy who helped others without being asked, and the little girl whose voice carried comfort, and they wondered why their lavender bushes bloomed brighter, or why their dreams felt sweeter, or why their children always came home smiling. One evening, as autumn deepened into gold and fire, Sam and Elsie sat on their porch, watching stars bloom in the sky. The wind carried the scent of cinnamon, and somewhere far off, wind chimes danced. "Do you think she's a real witch?" Elsie asked. Sam smiled, tucking the shiny acorn into his pocket. "The kindest kind." And down the path, in the crooked little cottage with the violet roof, Clara Bramble lit a lantern, poured herself a cup of mint tea and smiled, knowing the best magic was already out there, glowing in the hearts of those who believed.